Hi, good evening. My name is Henry Cantor. I'm reporting here from Berkeley, Michigan, doing a global studies project. Care to introduce yourself? What's your name?
Michelle Cantor,
Where are you from?
Huntington Woods, Michigan.
And how old were you on September 11th, 2001?
I was 35 years old.
Okay, the purpose of this interview is to figure out your experiences through 9/11. So my first questions are preliminary questions about before the event. So, what do you recall about airport security before 9/11?
Before 9/11, there was airport security, but it was nothing like it is now. Meaning, you went through the metal detectors, but you didn't have to take off shoes. You didn't have to be concerned with liquids. There just were not as many rules or restrictions.
And what do you remember about the plane itself?
The plane itself, the cockpit where the pilots were, that door was either left open, or if it was closed, it was not a metal bolted door that could not be opened.
And then, did you ever think about any terrorism happening before this? Were you ever scared?
Terrorism wasn't really a word that was in our vocabulary, so to speak. It was never something we talked about or thought about.
My last question, have you ever visited any of the events that 9/11 was struck?
I've been to New York City before and after, and I've also been to Washington, D.C. before and after.
So what do you remember about New York before versus after 9/11?
Truthfully, I haven't been to the 9/11 site since it happened, so for me, kind of both visits weren't radically different. To me, it's just when you look at pictures of the skyline, it's vastly different. There's no longer the World Trade Centers.
So how did you find out about the attacks?
Well, I was at my office working, and word just started spreading that something had happened, and so we all went into the conference room and we watched on the news. They were talking about it, and I actually think they had, we were watching the first tower kind of in flames. They had that, and then literally live while we were watching that, we saw the other plane strike.
Did you know what was going on? Did you have any idea that it was a terrorist attack?
I don't think anybody really understood what was going on. It was so, it just was so out of the realm of anything anybody could imagine. Nobody knew how to even kind of process it.
Were you afraid for your safety?
Yeah, there was a sense of everyone we watched for a while, and then, when we realized the magnitude of what had happened, everybody kind of scrambled to their desks to try and contact family, no matter where they were, just to kind of make sure they were okay.
What was your first phone call?
My first phone call was to my babysitter to make sure that my daughter was okay.
And then, were you personally connected to anyone in the towers?
No, not personally. I did know a family friend's daughter, her husband was a victim, and then my company, I think there were about 10 people from my company who were victims.
So how did you feel about the decision to invade Iraq, and why?
I think I felt okay with it. I think most people, rationally, when something like that happens, you want to be able to sort of respond and do some kind of action. And so I think the whole country kind of rallied to sort of go after Iraq because, we felt like we had to fight back. We couldn't just allow something like that to happen.
And then, what did you think about the additional security at the airports? How did that make you feel?
Glad. I'm glad they do it. It's a pain because it makes traveling take longer, but they're doing it for the right reasons.
What specific things have you done to change your lifestyle because of 9/11?
I haven't really. I think you have to. The attitude, I kind of have is you have to live your life. I guess maybe, I want my kids and, my family to be a little more alert and aware and have instincts, and if they ever, something seems suspicious, to go the other direction. But we're still, living our lives how we did before.
And what do you believe is our nation's greatest security threat in the 21st century?
I think it's terrorism and the potential of nuclear war. I think where we are with some of these countries is very unstable situations, and hopefully, we won't have anything escalate in terms of nuclear creation and destruction potentially. But I definitely think, it's something that is riskier than it probably was, 15, 20 years ago.
Question: how has 9/11 changed you?
Well, I think, even though I said I haven't changed my life and I'm not going to do things differently, I think about something I never had to think about before. Like I said, terrorism is now part of our vocabulary, it's part of our conversation, it's part of our world, and it was never like that before.
Thank you. That's all the time we have. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
Everyone have a good evening in Berkeley, Michigan.